Hello, Simone. I'm excited to be here with you today. Today, we are going to be discussing just how effed Iran is along so many metrics. Okay. So, we have done other episodes where we talked about the rapid secularization that's been happening in Iran and their fertility crisis, because they have a fertility rate way below the United States, despite being a theocracy and much poorer than us. So, usually means higher fertility rates.
Yeah.
And so obviously they've got all the demographic stuff, but we're going to be talking about stuff that might be even more important to have than people, like water and air. Air. So an estimated 30,000 deaths nationwide every year in Iran from air pollution. They have some of the worst air pollution in the world. We'll be going over this, but their capital city, Tehran, you know how in some cities you go to, like Mexico City is sort of this way, where because they're surrounded by mountains, they keep in all of the pollution.
Yeah, they call it like they have a word for it, like some kind of inverted vortex of death.
Yes, so Tehran is uniquely one of these areas.
Tehran.
And it's also uniquely bad at dealing with it. And also the floor, like the streets like randomly collapse and you can like have like
sinkholes or what?
Giant sinkholes where you can have like entire buildings or blocks disappear. And I remember because I was like freaked out when I saw this, because sinkholes are like one of my greatest fears in life.
They really are.
The idea that you could just be driving and then falling to your death, or sleeping and then your house is gone and all your kids are gone.
Typical, isn't it?
It's just strange. One day someone's walking around, going to work, alive, and then
Nothing.
people just disappear.
The earth just opens up and swallows them.
Eerie.
So I ask, I'm like, okay, Google, like, how frequently do these sinkholes happen? And it goes, oh, well, in Tehran, you get a few of them a week. And I was like,
a few a week?
In week?
City?
Yes, in their capital city, with like parts of the road disappearing and stuff. So
what kind of do they have underground river like cenotes like in Mexico?
They had an underground river until they drained it.
Okay.
And you know what I'm talking about. Hold on. There's so many more problems that they have.
I'm sorry. Wait, no. It's over. If this is Sinkhole City, it's already over.
They've lost their entire geopolitical footing. We're going to talk about that as well. Like, Iran's situation may be worse than China's, right? like, and this is coming from a lot. And we're also going to talk about how they censor information on the internet, how they censor information on phones, what information they target, what society they're trying to build, and why, like sand slipping through fingers, they have nothing and will be nothing. It is a very sad place, but we'll also talk about a few wins they've had recently. Their drone system specifically has been pretty popular. Which is like a technical thing that is going to be important in future wars.
Are they selling their drones to Russia or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Shahid drone, which we'll go into the Shahid drone.
Good for them. All right. I feel now I want them to have something.
So let's just run some projections on their current water rates, for example, by the way. If current practices persist, only 20 to 30% of the current crop production will remain viable by 2045.
Oh my gosh. So they're going to need mostly imports.
Yeah, not awesome. They also, for water, another fun one here, is the term 0 day came up for their capital city recently. Now, they were able to get around it, but as of October, Tehran avoided a full day 0 through emergency cuts, 20% reduction in urban use and rationing, but the risk persists into 2026. If winter rains fail, residents already face 12 to 24-hour cutoffs in the suburbs, with tanker trucks supplying to poorer areas.
This just sounds like Lima, Peru. Remember when they just be like, we're shutting off the water today. No electricity today.
Whatever. So Lima is also going to run out of water in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's
honestly like a YouTube video I saw of where someone just walked around like Tehran and like met a lot of people. You know, one of those like, I spent 24 hours. It looked so much like Lima to me. Even the air pollution.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Lima has horrible air pollution too.
Yeah, even though it's right by the ocean, you have it's like, it's bad when your boogers are black.
Oh God, yeah. I was watching videos about Iranian doctors, and they were talking about how bad the situation is, and they're like,
Yeah.
I can get a kid in my clinic, and I can be like, here's what's hurting this kid, you
Uh-huh.
know, and he's going to have long-term ramifications or die if this is not resolved.
Okay.
And I can do my best to address it. And then I open the door, and the thing that was killing him just comes wafting back in because his family can't leave the city. They can't
Right.
go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
They
And the
can't
other
go
thing
take the
about
waters in Bath.
Iran is they promised that they were going to give houses for everyone.
Don't have windows, just dark rectangles where glass should be, monuments marking an unfinished ghost city. Parties is hardly alone though. Head 70 kilometers out west and you'll find Hashtgerd, built for 500,000 people, home to 50,000. Reverse course and head northeast, there's Golbahar near Mashhad, 3 decades old, still waiting for residents who never came. At this rate, likely never will.
So they just built these random housing things
Oh,
all over the country, but
no.
all of the money was grafted because it was taken by the
Oh,
the imams, whatever.
no.
So these apartment complexes are giant things of empty apartment complexes all over the country that nobody's living in, that don't really function because they didn't think that, oh, we need to build them near where the jobs are. So then you have this ultra overcrowded primary city. What would a day zero mean for people if it actually ended up happening?
Yeah.
Households would have to queue for water rations, e.g. 20 liters a day. So basically you'd go to a line, you get your water for the day, and your family would have to be able to bathe, laundry, live off of that water. And restaurants and car washes and stuff like that would likely just be shut down. But to continue here, we were talking about the pollution.
Yeah.
The health toll is 30,000 deaths nationwide in 2024, up from 24,000 in 2023.
God.
Tehran alone saw 6,000 in the past year. Causes respiratory disease, heart attack, etc. And year over year, there's an 18. Oh no, they say 18% of all ER visits are linked to the pollution in Tehran. So that means like 1 out of 5 people who are going to a hospital are going because of the air pollution.
Just showing up because, yeah, the literal city is killing them. Oh my gosh.
That is terrifying. No, it is like living in hell. It feels to me like when I look at this stuff. Like,
no wonder people aren't having kids. I mean, one, this must also be affecting fertility, even if you want kids.
But in addition, you don't just have polluted air, you also have polluted water. Oh, and I'll know as the air pollution, we'll get to this in some of the data in a bit, but it's increasing pretty dramatically year over year. So it's only getting worse. It's not like this is a problem that they've like abated.
Right, because in China, they've actually done a really good job, an incredibly good job fighting air pollution.
Yeah. But China is full of Chinese people and Iran's full of Iranians,
Oh, burn. Okay.
Well, look, you can't. There's some policies that wouldn't work in America because we're not Chinese people either. Like, remember when they tried to set up the semiconductor fabs in America? And they're like, Americans are not good enough at following orders to make semiconductors.
Yeah, they came here and they're like, sorry, they're too retarded.
They're too retarded. Yeah, that was the takeaway.
Yeah,
and you could also, this is not awesome. So you also have a problem with this stuff affecting the farmlands and stuff like that. Oh, and also I should note here, you have daily outages that you were talking about of power, which makes it very hard to run things like factories and stuff like that. The economist Noreen Rabini predicts a collapse of the Iranian government within a year if pressures mount. And others have been warning of civil war.
Whoa.
In the meantime, the country is wasting money on things like MiG-29s from Russia when a MiG-29 is completely useless against American F-35s, which just shows that they're not even really they're playing like an aesthetic game for grifting, right? I think this is also why they lasted so shortly when Israel decided to bomb them, to be like actually off.
Because their actual defense tools were not very effective.
Actually, let's take a minute to talk about this. So Iran basically had this plan. So if you want to get an idea of the geopolitics of the region,
okay,
you have Iran's got like one real buddy, And that buddy is Qatar. And the reason why Iran and Qatar are buddies is mostly because they share a natural gas field that goes under both of the countries and is one of their major income sources. And so
Okay.
they have to play nice or they lose one of their major income sources. And this is true for both countries.
Aligned incentives are the best predictor of good collaboration.
Yes. So, but everyone else freaking hates them at this point, but they've been able to maintain power because what they did is they funded a bunch of terror networks, right? So they
Qatar did, or well, both of them did.
Iran did, but Qatar did as well, like because they were working together, but they were trying to build up their regional power base. And so, like, you know, Saudi Arabia might be like allied with like actually like the UAE and like becoming closer to allying with Israel and stuff like that, and the United States in sort of this axis. But then what Iran did is it would fund, you know, Hezbollah, it would fund Hamas, it would fund quote unquote, you know, freedom fighters in whatever region, you know, they had another big area in like, God, I can't remember what other country that is, but there were a number of countries where they basically funded, they'd fund the underground terrorist organizations that had like pseudo states. Okay.
Yeah.
And Iran spent a lot of money and a lot of time building all of these into capable actors for fighting. And then what happened was two things. First, the because basically when everybody started bombing Iran basically picks up its phones and it's like, hey guys, we've been funding you forever. Will you do something? Right? Like, and all of them phone lines were dead for a couple reasons. There was actually one African group that did end up launching a missile at Israel, but it ended up hitting a bus in Gaza. Note here, thinking of the Houthis, and they did send 200 missiles, but all the ones that would have landed within Israel were blocked by Israel's defense forces, which is why the only ones that did landed in Gaza. That said, I don't know if one hit a bus. It hit something.
Wait. Oh, okay.
It's not very competent. This is what happens when you give it to random extremists, when you give them explosives. But anyway, so what happened is Israel first beheaded with the pager attack program, which was incredibly effective. And then the secondary attack, what was that on? Hezbollah, I want to say, where they basically took out Hezbollah, which is one of these key allies. The Hamas is basically tied down with the whole Israel situation.
A little bit.
And then the people it was funding in Africa were basically retarded, which they didn't fully grok. So that basically is what happened. Every one of these plays that they had been investing in and fizzled all out at once, right before everyone started bombing them, and nobody came to their aid because nobody cares.
Right. Yeah.
Except for maybe China, and we'll get to why China. So this is one of the things on the other side here. But the point I'm making here is Iran basically made this big political bet in a network of terror cells that Israel completely eradicated. And so they don't have any geopolitical friends to fall back on. They work with Russia now, with, you know, selling them war supplies and stuff like that, but that's mostly only because they have similar enemies. They're not actually very friendly with each other. I mean, keep in mind Russia's occupation of the region that they're not that happy about. All right, let's talk about the water crisis. So the crisis impacts over 88 million people, virtually the entire population, and vast agricultural lands. Over 80% of Iran's territory faces acute water stress. 80% of the territory is facing acute water stress.
No one talks about this.
With reservoirs, rivers, and aquifers at record lows. 19 major dams are nearly dry, and Tehran's primary reservoirs, like the Amar Kabri Dam, are at just 38% capacity, the lowest in decades. It has left rolling blackouts, because keep in mind they're using hydropower, as hydropower accounts for a significant portion of electricity at a 14,000 megawatt shortfall.
So, like, wait. So hydropower typically happens when you have like really good river flows and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so like what I mean, I understand they drained their underground aquifers, but why is their hydropower running out?
So they called it the rebuilding jihad, literally, I kid you not. And what they did is after the Islamists took over, they went
You
around.
can have a weight loss jihad. It's fine.
Yes. After it's like saying Mein Kampf or something, my strong. So they went
Oh my
around.
gosh, I need to have a weight loss conf. No, I need to have
Weight loss is not your conf. You need a weight gain.
no, yeah, a weight gain conf.
So they went around after they won and did that thing that idiot like communists often do, which is like, oh well, we're just gonna like build a bunch of stuff. And so what happened in Iran is because the people who were closest to the center of powers, like the main grift sources, were involved in dam construction specifically and research around dam construction. They basically just had a cycle of never-ending dams. The country has I think like some of the most dams in the world, just like dam after dam after dam. The problem is that a lot of these dams shouldn't have been built and they ended up causing water problems. But then the other problem is upstream of all the dams, they've had huge problems with agriculture just using all the water anyway. So basically they got into this problem because they weren't actually doing work. They were just building dam after dam after dam. I mean, keep in mind, when I'm saying 19 dams are nearly dry, that's a lot of dams to be nearly dry on one river.
So many dams. Yeah.
Yes. Groundwater and surface water. Aquifers are depleting at 3.8 millimeters per year, with rivers like the Zaharade Rud reduced to seasonal trickles and lakes vanishing entirely. Satellite imagery shows stark declines in water bodies around Tehran. And what's important to note here is Iran actually used to have the largest body of fresh water in the Middle East, and they have depleted it to be, I think at its lowest, it was 12% of its original size and unusable at that point because it concentrated all of the like pollutants in it when it depleted that much, and just everything around it basically died. But they then had this major project because people are like, well, Iran says it recognizes these problems and it's going to deal with them. And I said, it said that about this lake 10 years ago, and now it's only up to like 20%. So like, even if they do everything like they said they were going to do with this lake, it's unlikely to matter, right? So near term, experts predict a point of no return within 5 years. This is in water supplies, if mass urban shortages and agricultural collapse. Overdrawing aquifers could cause irreversible substance and salination. So basically, if they draw down the aquifers too much, those aquifers become never usable again because of salination problems.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that Tehran is trying to talk about doing to fix this is move the capital. So they want to move it south to the coast, sort of near where Dubai is.
Okay.
The problem, because they're like, well, we can buy a bunch of cheap land there, like a bunch of people benefit from doing this.
Yeah.
The problem is that this is also a insanely expensive idea. They just don't have the money.
But I mean, like, what are your other options at this point, right? Like, I'm all about declaring bankruptcy on Tehran at this point.
Yeah, just build a few government buildings and be like, hey, we'll move the technical government here and more industry will build up around that.
Well, yeah, and like, honestly, what are there can be no industry, as you point out, on day zero. If electricity doesn't work, you can't run factories. It doesn't matter. Like, either way, Tehran it sounds like they're
you want to talk about how bad this is? So remember I was talking about the dams? They built over 1,000 dams since 1979.
Wait.
They're run by a group called the Water Mafia, quote unquote.
Water Mafia.
And then
Water Mafia.
87% of the water is used by low value crops that are being grown based on subsidy-driven farming. So Irma, the second largest lake in the Middle East in vital fresh water, a body spanning 5,000 square kilometers in the northwestern Iran, it supported millions through fishing, agriculture, and tourism. But over the past few decades, it has decreased by 90% in size because of piping billions of cubic meters from rivers like Zab starting in 2017 that connected to it. And you can see pictures of it. And you'll see like giant ships and stuff, just like in a desert now.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I think I've seen these. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of places like this, but
they said they were going to fix it back in 2019, and basically nothing happened.
Well, yeah. What can you do though? You can't fix this. Like, problems like this, you really can't fix. This is also a problem in places like California, like in the American West, where we're drawing down the Ogallala Aquifer, and there are issues with the Colorado River. Like, this is water is a big problem.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about, because we had another video on the secular theocracy. We talked about how quickly people are, one, leaving Islam globally, which we should probably do another video on, but specifically within the theocratic state of Iran. And this is why I always say like Catholic integralists are just completely numbskulls. I'm like, okay, guys, look at your Catholic majority countries. That's where deconversions are happening the fastest.
I mean,
right? Like, it does not work. Look at the Islamic theocratic countries.
when you do the clapping for emphasis, is this cultural appropriation from woke culture,
Yes,
though?
it's cultural appropriation from woke people.
But you're doing it because it's insensitive. Like you're doing it to trigger them.
I'm
Okay.
doing it to trigger people. Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Trying to do my clapping like a woke person.
To make them mad.
It doesn't work, right? Like it tends to lead to higher rates of deconversion
Yeah.
and lower rates of religious observance.
Yeah, when you force it on someone, for like when you pay someone to practice their hobby, they start to freaking hate it. Like this makes sense. We all know this.
Yeah. But where this is cool is when we were doing that survey, we were talking about a survey that a lot of people were like, hey, this survey may have been carried out incorrectly or may have had bias to it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll buy that. But since then, there has been leaks from the Iranian government's own studies. So this is the Iranian government study, the Ministry of Culture and Islamic Guidance via University of Tehran.
Do we have a Ministry of Culture?
Yeah, it was conducted in late 2023, and we'll go over the various information they have here. So daily prayer rate, it fell from 78.5% in 2015
Decent.
to 54.8% late 2020. A 30% drop over 8 years. And keep in mind, that's not even up to this year when the other study was showing more of a drop. Ramadan fasting, never fast, increased. So in 2015, only 5.1% never fasted for Ramadan. That increased to 2023 to 27.4%.
Dude, this is why like Middle Eastern countries getting so obese. They need to fast. They need more Ramadan. I guess though Ramadan's pretty bad because you're just eating so much in
yeah. So Quran reading. Keep in mind, this is also a government organization in a country where you can be like jailed for not being Muslim enough.
Yeah.
Like these numbers are definitely underreporting things.
Wow.
But even these numbers are extremely dire. Never read the Quran, 9.1% in 2015.
Never read the Quran.
In 2023. Yeah, 19.2% in 2023.
Wow.
Self-identified as highly religious. So these ones we only have 2023. Okay, so highly religious was only 42.6% in 2023, and not religious or lightly religious was 24.3% in that year by the government survey. And then if you look at support for separating religion from politics, that went from 30.7% in 2015 to 72.9% in 2023. This is their authoritarian theocratic government doing a survey of their own populace saying 72.9% want a separation of church and state. That is shocking. A 138% increase, it points out. 85% of respondents said societal religiosity decreased over the past 5 years. So yeah, I bet so. The other study that we looked at showed even higher numbers.
Really?
So this was the Garmin religion study done in 2020. So Shia Muslim identification, they had it only 32.2% in 2020, a sharp drop from what officials said, which was 96%. No religion was 22.2%, and then plus 8.8% were atheists. So that brings it to around 30% were no religion or atheist. That's crazy.
Well, can you blame them? The air is killing them. The water's running out.
Welcome to Muslim sensitivity training. It is important for us to understand why the Muslims feel the way they do. First of all, there's no sex until marriage in the Muslim world. Now, this would be fine, except that in the Muslim religion, you also can't jack off. And what do we know about the places Muslims live? They live in sand. Now put yourself in the shoes of a Muslim. It's Friday night, but you can't have sex and you can't jack off. There's sand in your eyes and probably in the crack here, and then some cartoon comes along from a country where people are getting laid and mocks your prophet. Well, you know what? I'd be pretty pissed off too.
47%. Do daily prayers not performed? 60%. And then they had done another poll that showed even more. where they showed a rejection of religious rule 66%, and support for secular separation of religion and state, they got 81%. This was in 2024. Wild.
Wow. I mean, you mentioned earlier that one economist was expecting basically some kind of revolution or serious social unrest. What do you even do though? Like if someone was like, oh, Malcolm, we're gonna, put you in charge of Iran. First you'd be like, no thanks. But like, if you had to be put in charge, what would you even do?
Normalize relations with Israel and the United States. They could, like, their citizens want them to do it, right? Like,
yeah, but then normalizing relations with Israel and the U.S. isn't going to bring their water back.
Right, but it would allow them to sell their oil at a higher price, which is 80% of their country's profits at this point. And then you be incredibly dictatorial about any form of corruption, public executions for that.
Okay.
No, I mean, I do think you should have public executions for corruption. I think you need to be really harsh on corruption. And I would, because I think that when you get, what people don't understand about corruption, like, I think corruption is worse than murder. The reason is because the long-term effects of it are much worse. If
they amount to murder of more people, essentially.
Yes, it basically amounts to murder of cities, of thousands of children a year rather than one.
Yeah, I guess when you consider the number of people even just being hospitalized due to poor air quality right now.
Yeah, if you fudge a report, like an environmental report or something like that, and that ends up with no water in 10 years or something like that, or a dam breaking and the city below it ended up flooding, or
right. Yeah, no, okay, fair point. Yeah.
And you need to,
I guess, yeah, even consider the role that government corruption in Russia played in in the loss of soldiers' lives.
Yeah, the reason why I say corruption execution for all corruption, right, is because people will say, well, I didn't know that this would lead to a dam to break. I didn't know that this would lead to, and you've got to be like, well, you know that we do, public torture and execution for any form of corruption. So just don't do it. Do not. And you really need it in a place like Iran because it's so normal within the culture there. It's just such a intrinsic part of Persian culture historically, going back, hundreds of thousands of years. You need to just come in with a whip and be like, we're not going to allow this anymore. And we're going to root it out really, really aggressively. And I think that could fix a lot of these problems quickly. I mean, keep in mind, if you drop the subsidies for the food crops that are basically just being paid out to keep people quiet and not revolting in these areas, then you could drop the water use in these areas, spend that money importing the food instead, and do an actual moving of the capital to a new location. Like, there is a way around this. It's just that they would never do it, because as soon as they hear move the capital to a new location, they're like, what an opportunity for corruption, right? Like, what an opportunity to buy land in the region and hike up prices and then make sure the government buys it at 10 times the price and blah, 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 blah. But here's some cool things you might not know about Iran.
Okay, yeah, give us some cheerful endings.
So they're having this huge problem with fertility. Below the US is it's like 1.4.
Thought you were going to say good stuff.
Did you know that IVF is free in Iran?
Oh, good for them. Also, they have some of the best gender transition surgeries. A lot of trans people,
they're of course forced or death, but they
but like, actually, there's a lot of medical tourism to Iran, and there are special travel agencies that sell medical tourism to Iran. Even of like, they address things like, are you concerned about being gay and going to Iran? Like, here's how it's safe. Like, they really like. And there are a lot of very woke people in the US and Canada who have gone on the record saying like, okay, well, I don't support what Iran is doing, but capitalism ruins my ability to transition in the US. So I have to. It's not even a choice I have. And I know that Iran has developed many of their good methods by forcibly experimenting on their own citizens who happen to be gay. But I just don't have a choice because capitalism.
They just don't care. They don't care. They don't care that these were developed, not experimenting on gay people, but what Iran used to do is force gay people to gender transition to make them not gay.
Yeah, but a lot of the surgeries that they performed were experimental.
Yeah. Which is funny that the modern left saw this and is like, that seems good. That's like
no,
what we
it's
wanna do
not
to gay
good,
kids.
but it's affordable. So
Yeah, it's not good, but it's affordable. So, did you know that they also give interest-free loans of $10,000 upon marriage/childbirth?
that's super common in Islamic countries, it seems.
They also give housing priority to families with over 3 kids and child allowances of $20 per child per month.
Oh, $20. That's
Well,
gonna
I mean, I bet that goes far in Iran. I mean, it's not gonna get you an iPad, but, food's pretty cheap in a lot of these sorts of places.
maybe.
Um, you can buy your daily pack of air for that.
Yes, there
I
we
gotta use
go.
some baseball references in this episode.
As president of Planet Spaceball, I can assure both you and your viewers that there's absolutely no air shortage whatsoever. Yes, of course. I've heard the same rumor myself. Yes, thanks for calling and not reversing the charges. Yes, bye.
What are some other fun ones here? They also restrict the degrees that women can get, which is another really cool thing they
Yeah.
do in Iran.
Another cool thing that. Oh boy.
Simone, I love you so much. It's so funny having you on this show. The whatever based camp.
Thank you
So
for humoring me with that name.
yes, since 2012, Iranian universities have imposed gender-based quotas and bans on women for 77 to 80 fields, affecting over 30 institutions. This reverses women's dominance, 60% of students in the 1990s, and ties into conservative pushes for Islamization of education.
I mean, on the bright side, we are able to point to Iran as strong evidence for why restricting female academic choice doesn't improve birth rates. So Iran is the sacrificial lamb, demonstrating to
It's a sacrificial lamb I'm happy to make. Yeah, and we often point out here, we don't have a problem with Iranian culture. We have an Iranian president in this country, right? Like MAGA is all about Iran, given that Trump is the
aesthetically
most,
Persian.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know. I
you
mean,
got
I
a link
point-
to that video you made. The
yeah,
song.
I made a song of it. I'll add the song to this one. But Trump is culturally Persian. I do not know how as somebody with Persian friends and white waspy friends, if you have
Yeah, have you seen the ballroom designs for the new East Wing?
Oh my God, are they horrible Persian-y nonsense?
Well, I don't know. Have you seen the freaking Oval Office? I mean, the gold, it just keeps like racking up. It's like a
It's
dragon's
so
den in
tacky.
there.
But the point I'm making here is, from my cultural perspective, it comes off as very tacky because I have a waspy aesthetic perspective. We live in like a farmhouse that's minimally decorated and stuff like that. You go to Trump stuff and if I show you pictures of like Persian houses and Trump's house, you're gonna be like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't scream Martha's Vineyard in the Trump properties. It
in
doesn't
the
scream.
song, I have a line on repeat that I don't know if people get, but I assumed they would, where I'm like,
Oh.
where are his pictures of old boats and fancy boats and horses?
Yes.
And it's a thing that, like, if you've hung around waspy houses, models of fancy boats and paintings of boats and paintings of horses are like a thing. And yet, like, we've been to Mar-a-Lago, right? Like, Trump's got none of that. And this is like on the water in Miami, right?
To be
Like,
fair, Trump didn't. I mean, he acquired Mar-a-Lago, and Mar-a-Lago before he acquired it, or I think it was before. Maybe there's
pictures. Look at pictures of his house.
No, I'm just saying Mar-a-lago used to be a presidential retreat. It
I
was
know,
owned by the U.S. government.
But it's decorated in his style. If you look at pictures of his penthouse,
his
you see
his New York
models,
penthouse. No, it's
you
all
see
very
no
Persian. It's all
pictures
very
of boats. You see so clearly I don't have a problem with Persians if I'm okay with Trump as the US president, right? I'd also point out here that when I was talking about Persians being very, tempted by corruption when contrasted with other cultural traditions, Trump definitely fits that as well. A lot of people are like the Trump family has very obviously done some corrupt deals that benefit themselves. There's There's been some grumbling about this. I do not like corruption.
Come on,
but,
every
like,
morning on the front cover, well, not there's no front cover of Drudge, it's all front cover, but like Drudge is always like new thing. That what I want to watch though is whatever, like I want like a public reality TV saga of like Barron Trump. I want Barron Trump dating. I want Barron Trump doing corrupt deals. I want Barron Trump
no, but the
TV
thing that
24/7.
about the way that Trump does it, which also kind of comes off as sort of version, is I think one of the reasons less people are mad about it is because he's so blatantly obvious about it.
Well,
Like,
and that's the thing is we don't care that much about corruption, like the American id. We care about authenticity. And he's authentically corrupt, and he jokes about it, like he hams up about it.
like Joe Biden is like, okay, I'm gonna like get my son and we're gonna send him to like work with these other countries that are gonna like funnel money into like private accounts and pay for like phony consulting gigs. And Trump's just like, hey, you want to start like a crypto coin, son? And we'll call it Trump coin. And then in an election cycle, like that'd be cool, right? Like it's like not even like, okay, we're gonna hide that it's tied to my presidential campaign. We're gonna hide that it's
Nah.
We're gonna use the same branding.
I love it.
Anyway, so with the fields that women were banned from were stuff like mining, nuclear, petroleum, engineering-based stuff, accounting, chemistry, computer science, business, education, counseling, math. Oh, so just make women study useless degrees, like
I know it's funny because typically in countries where women have fewer rights and less freedom, they go disproportionately into STEM fields because they have to make money and like they don't get choices. And typically when women have more freedom and more social autonomy and empowerment, they disproportionately choose the fun, soft, non-STEM thing. So it's really weird that Iran was like, that they did the opposite. They're like, let's force women into the fields that they would have if they had freedom. I don't get it. Take that, women. You're only allowed to do that fun, easy stuff now. Get out of the mines. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
By the way, one of the other things that's causing the collapse of the roads and stuff like that, which is kind of cool given how old the city is there's over 600 square kilometers, and this is just mapped, of ancient underground aquifers under Tehran. So
you mean like aqueducts?
Yeah, like aqueducts under the city.
That they built.
Yeah, like 1,000 years ago.
Better than like falling into some French crypt full of skeletons.
I'm sure they've got their skeletal crypts as well or something.
Oh, God. Why hold on to the dead bodies? People, cremate them and turn them into diamonds. Cremate them and turn them into diamonds. We need to go on Alibaba and get a diamond making machine for ashes.
Oh my gosh. By the way, we're talking about how quickly things are sinking, by the way.
Yeah.
The city itself, Tehran, sinks. Keep in mind here, I'm saying centimeters and not millimeters. It sinks 10 to 30 centimeters per year.
So they're like Venice, but
like
without the
romance.
romance.
A year, the city is sinking. Imagine what that would do to your house's foundation.
Well, yeah, but also like they look like Peru, and not like bougie Peru, not like Miraflores where we lived, but where like close to the airport Peru, where it's just these like stacked clay-like houses that look just like they're on cinder blocks and falling apart. So
let's talk about how Iran does censorship, because that's pretty interesting as well. Oh, we gotta head out. Okay.
I'm late.
All right, we'll do this.
Well, I can step away and you can, because this is good stuff.
We'll do it later.
Okay. I appreciate it.
I love
I don't want to miss out. I want to know what happens.
Yeah, you get to hear about. Come on, I'm sure you're gonna find it fun to learn how they're banning people from using cell phones and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Okay, good. I'm looking forward to
Literal hellscape.
Literal hellscape. Tried to finish this episode, but I ran out of time.
I freaking hate you. This is how spousal abuse starts. This is how. Oh my God. Why am I married to this princess? As of October 2025, internet penetration is 85% of the population. That's 78 million users, but internet freedom is heavily restricted in Iran. So internet filtering and blocking. Over 50% of global websites are inaccessible, including social media. Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook has been banned since 2009 with periodic lists. News outlets, BBC Persia, VOA, and tools like VPNs, illegal since 2024, although 80% of users evade via tech. In May 2025, cyber freedom areas were introduced for elites, granting uncensored access to select groups. And
What? That's crazy.
cyber freedom, if you're the elite, you can do what you want, but most people know.
Wait a second. Do I like this idea?
I don't like this idea. I do not like this idea. I
I
think
don't
the moment
know. Like maybe there's some things you should only unlock when like you can be responsible with it.
no,
You know,
well,
there's
this is
some
why I'm really against like porn banning, because as soon as you ban porn, then you need to
Oh,
ban
that's
VPNs. And if you ban
yeah.
VPNs, then you can tell what anyone is doing online at any time,
Okay.
which is very dangerous for intellectual freedom,
Okay. Now,
especially
never
when you have
mind.
urban monocultural government in power.
I recant. I recant. Go on.
Okay. Deep packet inspection. So the DPI monitors traffic. So they like literally monitor the traffic with things like, I assume, AIs. Apps like Apparet, state-approved YouTube alternative, tracks users. Journalists face arrests, over 100 in 2025, office raids and threats from straying from the official lines. A new untrue content law passed July 2025 criminalizes fake news with up to 5 years in prison, targeting
Oh.
critical reports.
Oh.
And then state media, IRIB, dominates. Algorithms on domestic platforms amplify pro-regime posts. So if it's a pro-regime post, the algorithms and the platforms are specifically meant to implement it. And during elections or crises, bots flood social media with disinformation. Like, it's like they have the bots and they try to make it look like everyone agrees with them within their own country to try to maintain this belief and consensus. They also do partial blackouts. So stealth blackouts, a 2025 innovation. So they're getting more sophisticated at this with making VPNs illegal. This stealth blackout concept that came out this year, where they isolate domestic users while maintaining global routing, e.g. mid-2025 tactics reduce speeds by 95% without alerting outsiders. The Mian Group documented a major 2025 shutdown lasting days, costing 170 million in digital economy losses. They also block cell phones access. So how does this work? They partially shut down target data, 4G, 5G throttled to 2G, while voices and SMS may persist. Full cuts occurred via BGP rerouting or power grid interference in 2025. Power outages for energy crisis is exacerbating this. So they sort of route which areas are not going to get power as well to handle the fact that they know they're getting blackouts anyway.
Gosh, this is so dystopian, but not in the fun, sexy way.
Right? Frequency and examples. Routine during protests, e.g. 2019 Bloody November that killed 1,500 amid a week-long blackout. In June 2025 Israeli conflict, a 12-day near total mobile internet cutoff left millions offline for 24 hours, the worst since 2019. Post restrictions extended into October, blocking messages apps. Users resorted to using phones on Starlink, smuggled or illegal, but 70% of Iranians reported a total isolation during the recent crisis. So you're being struck by Israel and the government. Like, if you cared about your citizens, right? Like, if they cared a lick about their citizens' life, you would want them to have access to real-time information about what's going on during this crisis. But no, they get attacked, and their first thought is, how do I keep my own people from rising up and overthrowing us? You know, because that's what they think.
Mods are asleep. Take over. God.
Yeah, but I think it shows, you know, when you bomb Iran or something like that, what the government sees is this is Israel siding with its populace against the government.
Wow.
Yeah, why else would they be doing this?
Yeah.
And I think that this is something that people do not understand. They think that this is a conflict with Iran's people against Israel when it is not. It is a few elites that are you know, really handling this crisis. And the real reason they handle it is interesting. I think, just as a separate note here, within the elite circles in the Middle East, there's something of a dominance hierarchy that's based on how much you can F with Israel. And you're seen as at the bottom of this not even Israel, specifically the Jews. It's about effing with the Jews. Okay. The more you can F with the Jews, the higher on the dominance hierarchy you are. The less you F with the Jews, or the more you try to work with them, the lower on the dominance hierarchy you are. And even if you don't actually personally have animosity towards Jewish people, if you are in these elite circles, you will feel like you need to do this for social status signaling reasons.
Oh my goodness.
It's like a weird flex thing. Anyway, tactics used. Shutdowns prevented real-time sharing, e.g. videos of floods or sinkholes. So they often do this when there's natural disasters. And obviously,
why would they, just so people aren't as aware of how often they take place.
Well, I mean, so remember when we talked about like the crisis with the water?
Yes.
When this led to like widespread sandstorms in August, they shut down cell phones in these regions that are experiencing the actual crisis. Anyway, if you're talking about VPNs, they're used by around 60% of Iran's 78 million users. So, they are widely used, but not as widely used as you'd think. There's still 40% of people who don't have access to them. But they're like very dangerous to use because the DPI can allow them to trace VPNs. Basically, they detect VPN protocols, OpenVPN WireGuard, blocking 60 to 70% of known VPN servers weekly. In October 2025, new DPI layers disrupted even obscure providers. So it's getting harder and harder to use VPNs because the internet is like checking, does this look like they're using a VPN? And they can just find the protocols and then turn them off. So, yeah. IP whitelisting. The HoloNet only allows for pre-approved IPs, cutting off of VPN endpoints. During the June 2025 conflict-related blackouts, 95% of VPN connections failed for days. Domain seizures. VPN provider sites are blocked. New ones are targeted within hours via AI-driven scans. Legal crackdowns. In July 2025, untrue content law criminalizes VPN use with penalties of 1 to 5 years. 1 to 5 years in prison. So, yeah. Smuggled VPNs via USB or dark web are pricier, $10 to $20 a month, versus the free pre-2024 ones, risking scams or malware as well. Yeah, I mean, imagine you sell somebody what you tell them is a VPN, but you're really recording all the naughty stuff they're doing. Then you threaten to send it to the government, and you can get a good.
Oh no.
Throttling and stealth blackouts during crises. In October 2025, protesters. Mobile data is throttled to 2 gigabytes, 0.1 megabytes, rendering VPNs unusable even if connected.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a clever way to make them impossible to use.
Smuggled Starlink terminals, there's about 1,000 in the country, offer uncensored access but cost $500 plus and require illegal hardware. Regime jammer signals in September 2025, and border patrols seized skits, so they're scanning for these and attempting to block them. So yeah. Now we'll talk about one good thing that's happening in Iran. Is their drone program. It's been pretty popular. So, and they're pretty inexpensive. So you can get a Shahed 136 drone for $20,000 a unit. And they're mass produced at about 7 to 10 per day. And they're about a huge hit with 3,000 exported to Russia 2022 for Ukrainian strikes. And they've been used by the Houthis versus ships on the Red Sea versus the $1 million missiles that you have with a lot of American missiles. You got the Mahari R6, which costs around $100,000. This is a medium altitude reconnaissance armed UAV with 100 kilogram payload. This was exported to Russia and Venezuela and pretty popular. And then you've got the new Shahed, the Shahed 129 to 149, which is 1 to 2 million per unit. And it's a medium altitude, long endurance, like a US Reaper, with a 2,000 kilometer range, armed with missiles and bombs. And this is seen regional use in Syria and Yemen. And then they also have the Aliba 5, which is the tactical drone for $50,000, short range recon strike, vertical takeoff, which you're typically thinking of when you're thinking of drones, because a lot of these other drones look more like gliders. And this one is, also getting pretty popular, and Iraqis militias are using it. Another positive note for them is their economy is stable only in that it has nearly completely collapsed anyway, and 80 to 90% of their income, it's coming from, what percent is it? I can't remember. I said it earlier. It's like 85% is coming from oil. And on the downside, 80 to 90% of their oil is coming from exports to China. So that's not good when you have that level of concentration. And keep in mind that requires things like the Suez Canal staying open. That requires a lot of very tricky things to make work for Iran, and it requires going past a lot of water dominated by countries that don't very much like either Iran or China very much, like India. So a very precarious situation if that was ever blocked off for them. What's interesting is that China really hasn't pushed back on this. You think they would exercise more attempts to control them, but they haven't. They have done some stuff within the country, but they haven't gone overboard. And part of the reason is I think it's because 60% or something, a fairly high amount of China's oil is actually coming from Iran. So I think the main thing is that they're afraid of Iran retaliating as well. one of the few countries they're actually afraid of, where they really should be equally afraid of every country on that shipping lane, which I
Yeah.
mean they are. That is what the Taiwan situation is really about. They need to get Taiwan to break our ability to blockade them by blockading the Strait of Malacca, and they will do anything to see that happen.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, because their fertility rate's garbage and Taiwan's fertility rate is garbage, and neither of them is going to exist as meaningful power players in the future. You can see our videos on that.
I mean, it matters to people who are extremely short-term oriented. So
yeah,
that's like 98% of people, by the way, Malcolm.
I was going to talk about the current political deadlock and stuff in the country, but I don't really care. Just,
what
Iran
country isn't politically deadlocked these days? Honestly, I mean, that's
the United States.
Sorry, we're in the middle of a government shutdown.
Yeah, I know. And we're winning because we wanted the shutdown. We're walking around Walmart and one guy's talking to another guy. He goes, the government, the most powerful country in the world, can't stay shut down much longer.
No, he's like, no, he's like, well, we need the government to work. And the other guy was like, no, we don't.
No, we don't. That's the way many Republicans feel.
I just love that. Overheard in Walmart. It's the best overheard.
I'm just saying, like, if we end up cleaning up as much as the demographic shift to make it look like we're going to, as soon as, the Supreme Court case comes through and redistricting happens, it's bad. Like it is, moving to a more of a political consensus within our country until the Democrats can sort of reposition what they stand for.
I mean,
anyway, love you, Simone.
I love you too. I'm really glad we're not in Iran. Thank you for not being born there.
Yeah. And it also means we probably shouldn't, as long as we can keep them from getting the nukes, do not waste time with a war with Iran. Iran's not going to be around for long. Just let them do their thing, and they're genociding themselves right now, okay?
Well, similar to your stance with Europe. I mean, that's why you're in favor of, in general, this move toward isolationism. You're like, why invest either from an antagonistic or supportive standpoint in these countries that are choosing to not inherit the future? So
there's a few countries worth investing in because they've got good tech and decent fertility rates, like Israel, Australia, New Zealand, but like not Europe, not Iran. Anyway, love you to death. Have a good one.
Bye. All right, take us away, Captain.
Well, I'm not. I gotta find my notes. Okay.
Because you've not been like Iran. We even talked about Iran since Iran wasn't allowed to play with nukes anymore. Like, I don't know where this came from. This is out of left field for you. So
not exactly. We've had sort of a series of how effed is X country, how X is Y country.
Oh, kind of how Asmongold has that whole like, what on earth is going on in Spain, Japan, France?
I mean, we did it with like France recently.
Yeah.
We did it with, China.
Yeah, and like what, like Malaysia, Nepal. Yeah, it's part of his ongoing series. Asmongold reacts.
Yeah, we did it with one country. So I think that it's good to just keep our fans and to be a source for our fans of economic information, right? Like not economic, what am I thinking? Like geopolitical information, Well,
I need to know. I have no idea what's going on in Iran right now.
If there's people getting their news from us, shouldn't we be ensuring that they're getting like sort of a cohesive, and we might even do a counter series to this, like this country is uniquely not effed.
That would be nice.
Really only two countries that fall into that. That's the United States and Israel.
Well, yeah, all the anti-Semites watching this are not going to want the Israel.
I basically already did that video. I think it was on like the Jews will own the future or something, or why you need to be nice to the Jews.
We've had like 1 billion of those episodes.
Oh yeah, but this one's going to be a little different, and I learned a bunch of stuff I didn't know when putting it together.
I'm excited. School me.
All right.
What am I making you for dinner?
I haven't decided what is easy for tonight. What could be fun tonight is, remember when you made just the cake, the fish cakes with the sauce, and you did it with dashi, and then you froze 2 of those
fish cakes.
Well, one thing I'd love is lo mein if we have the ingredients for it. Try cooking like noodle lo mein.
I don't know if we have lo mein noodles. We don't have any like.
We do have lo mein noodles. We bought them the last time we went.
All right, I'll check and see. If not, are you asking for pho with? Because I do have the meatballs. What are they called? What are they called? What are those meatballs called? The Vietnamese Bun ma, bun cha.
Pho is bun cha. No, I'd rather just have pho if I'm doing pho. But I'd love it if you could see if you could do lo mein tonight. And if you can't do lo mein,
Just
then
vegetable lo mein.
Yeah, or just lo mein.
If I could add in some chicken, would you want chicken?
No.
Okay.
I want to just get lo mein right first, and then we can try making it.
I don't have bell peppers. I don't have chives.
I didn't ask for vegetable lo mein. I said lo mein.
You just literally want noodles and sauce?
That's the way noodles are usually served.
No, it's with vegetables. There's stuff. There's chicken. There's vegetables. That's like saying like, oh, give me a Chipotle burrito bowl. Rice, please.
That is the way that I have eaten lo mein most of my life, as lo mein.
All right. Well, I love you and I want you to have what you want. So I'll work on it.
If you don't have the ingredients for lo mein.
If I have vegetables, would you be okay with me?
If you have vegetables, put them in.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too. And if you, I got just this situation.
Iran. Run away.
Is over.
I ran away. You ran away. They're running away. We're all running away.
To what?
Iran.
Iran. Yes.
I'm punning you. Yeah. You're not like Elon Musk or Grimes who live off the puns. All right. Okay. Sorry. Bye.
That was Toasty right now.
Oh, where? What?
Toasty's playing outside and she got out of the car and she's talking to him.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I'm really late. Okay. Got it.
Strides through hallways decked in gold, so bright, like a sultan's palace glowing day and night. Marble pillars glimmer, echoing his name. A Persian king or president, one and the same. Shimmering drapes, plush rugs under each foot. A fortress of bling that no one can refute. Gold leaf on the ceiling, mirrors everywhere. He's bold, he's brash, who else would even dare? Where are the paintings of boats, of horses so rare? Random cottages in frames, why aren't they there? And where the model ships, decked out in their coats? We're asking our first Persian press, show us those boats. He bedazzles ballrooms, each corner ornate, like something out of ancient lore, or so we state. Halls paved in splendor, shining under the light. Surprise, surprise, he's got style, though it's quite a sight. He claims he's classy with flair unmatched. 1,000 chandeliers perfectly dispatched. Grand turrets, big fountains, exotic mystique. All hail our Persian prez, so lavish, unique. Where are the paintings of boats, of horses so rare? Random cottages in frames, why aren't they there? And where the model ships, decked out in their coats? We're asking our first Persian prez, show us those boats. Every corner gilded, every surface gleams, like Shah-era fantasies fresh out of dreams. Marble upon marble, a treasure trove of hue. Yes, it's gaudy, but hey, it's Trump through and through. Where are the paintings of boats, of horses so rare? Random cottages in frames, why aren't they there? And where the model ships, decked out in their coats, our gilded Persian president, please bring on those boats.